Welcome to the Spoilers of the Damned podcast. Spoilers of the Damned podcast. Hello and welcome to Spoilers of the Damned sidecast, all about Twin Peaks season 3. This is episode number, and I literally just checked it, and it's gone completely out of my head. Episode 10.
Yes.
Of our cast, talking about episodes 15 and 16 of The Return. And this one might go up this week as opposed to last week, where we recorded it literally a day after the episode, and then holiday happened.
So much holiday.
It's so much holiday that I couldn't even watch Twin Peaks until Friday morning. I made it through the whole week without being spoiled, which, considering the episode, as we'll get into, part 16, I'm surprised I wasn't spoiled.
Yeah. There's quite a lot that happened, really.
Yes, and what I've done is I've very handily crafted a give a shit list of stuff in roughly the order I kind of don't care about up until care about a lot. So we might end up talking about something you love very early on, and if we do, I'm sorry. But yeah, so I thought we may as well just jump straight in, and all of this stuff happens in episode 15 anyway. It's what I've kind of grouped together as minor Twin Peaks bullshit. Because I think as we're only literally a week away from the end of the season.
Yeah.
Because we're going to get 2 episodes at once on Monday. There's clearly some things that are designed to be kind of window dressing that kind of set the scene of Twin Peaks rather than actually directly correlate to any kind of like major plot significance. For instance, like some of the people in the Roadhouse, you know, the people who've been talking at tables and stuff, some of it may matter in terms of like the grand scheme, but other people, like, you know, that kind of lady who was clearly on some kind of awful drugs and she had that rash.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, unless, you know, I've missed the 2,000-word essay that someone's compiled on what that means.
That represents the decay
safe
of culture.
Exactly. It's safe to say that it's just kind of like background. So yeah. A lot of the stuff in here is background stuff. So one scene that came out of nowhere, in my opinion, went nowhere, was, and this character is apparently called Gersten. Gersten is the lady who was attempting to console the suicidal Stephen in the woods. Do you remember this scene?
Oh, God, I completely forgot about that, yes.
Yeah, so had I until I started compiling this list. Yes, this happened in part 15, and essentially we're led to believe that he's committed suicide because he was tweaking out on drugs.
Well, you know who Gersten is, don't you? It's Gersten
Someone
Hayward.
said it's... Yeah, so it's like Donna's sister, right?
Yeah, the one that writes the poem for... Is it a poem? Yeah, she writes a poem for Laura in the original series. I think it's the same actress as well.
Oh, that's neat.
I think. I could be wrong.
Something fun about that scene as well. The character who is walking a dog, that's played by Mark Frost.
Really?
And apparently he played a character in the original run, and it's the same character.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then later I forget. I'm always going to forget his name. I'm just thinking the dude from Aliens. Alien even, and I forget his name now. It's escaped me. Who owns the trailer park?
Oh, Harry Dean Stanton.
Yes, Harry Dean Stanton. I still can't remember what his character's name is, but he talks to him presumably about what he's just seen. But yeah, don't think it really kind of matters much.
No.
Which is why I was a bit confused why we spent so much time on it. But
That's unfortunately that's the story of a lot of what's happened in this series. So,
yeah.
Why did I see that? Why? Thank you.
I think especially since episode 14, because we were talking about 14 and we said that 14 was probably one of the better episodes since episode 8 in terms of things happening and what have you.
Oh, definitely.
Since then, we haven't really let up. We've had some non sequiturs like this, but to be honest, they kind of, like you said, they get forgotten in the grand scheme because we're so interested in the interesting things that happen. So we had to start the list somewhere, and I put this the start of it there. We also had a scene in the roadhouse where a young woman crawls across the floor and screams. Again, I'm not sure really what to say about that.
Yeah, I saw people saying that they believe that it's running parallel to what happens with Coop before then, because she screams like, "Oh, but Jenny screamed and Coop was crawling on the floor." Like, maybe.
Maybe.
But I don't know.
I also remember that bit where, some bikers muscled Dougie out of a seat and sat him on the floor.
That was my favourite scene, that was, when they did that. I was like, that's a good scene.
Yeah. We also have, and this was the opening to episode 15, inspired by Dr. Jacoby, aka Dr. Amp's show. Nadine marches to Ed's place of work and tells him that he's free to pursue Norma. This scene was just
brilliant.
It was very fun. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just that it's kind of like low level in terms of like plot significance. It's just it's a nice thing that happened.
Oh, totally.
And I felt really bad because obviously immediately after this scene, he runs off to tell her with this kind of like big goofy smile on his face, and the guy walks in and she kind of what's the word? Kind of spurns Ed, and I thought, oh no.
Yeah. I think everyone was just like, no, but no, you can be with her.
And but she didn't disappoint, and Norma told us that told Walter, the character, that they could buy her out and that she wanted to go back to being just, sort of like her own boss, doing her own one shop thing.
Like, fuck off, Walter.
Yeah.
Get fucked.
He's he was a very sleazy character.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And accepts Ed's marriage proposal as well.
Yes. I think that was probably the feel-good moment of the episode, really.
Yeah, because there was this music playing and it was very loud. I remember it being very loud, and it carried on for a while as we kind of like soared up over the mountains. I was like, okay, what are you prepping us for?
Like, wait a minute.
Get the happy shit over and done with at the start.
Oh no. Oh God, no. And lo and behold, some really depressing shit did happen.
Especially in part 15. Yeah, it's So let me just cover this. Oh yeah, another minor plot point. At the roadhouse, James gets attacked by Renee's jealous husband Chuck, whom Freddie punches out with his glove, and Freddie and James are subsequently arrested.
That was great. All right, Governor, get off of him. Go on, stop it. Boom. I said, get off. Oh, hello. Ooh. His voice wasn't as over the top this in that episode either.
Yeah, I think. Well, I like the character a lot, but I think it's interesting that we kind of speculated there would be this heavy plot significance in terms of his glove. Now that may still be the case because they are kind of placed inside the jail, which is also where our kind of Nido character is.
Exactly.
And Nido also, apparently, as we'll get into later, is Mr. C's destination as well.
Yes.
So it may still be the case that his glove will have plot significance, but if it doesn't, then just two randos got
I'm calling it right now.
Oh, the arm wrestle, you're right. Yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it?
And then she's going to crush Mr. C's face while everyone just looks on in horror.
Oh.
And it ends.
Deus Ex gardening glove.
And Coop just turns up and goes, "What did I miss?" Twin Peaks. The end. That's it. It's actually a lot.
Yep. I'm going to go down to Betfair right now and put 10 quid on it.
Yeah, it's going to just end with a British guy crushing a doppelganger's face. Fuck you, governor.
Who turned up, like 3 episodes before?
Yeah, I think he was in the
the pilot.
He was, he was in
Not
the first or the second episode. Yeah,
but it was just he was there with James. James was like, "See, I told you it was cool." You're like, that's a good scene.
Well, it was like I said, because we were talking about the Twin Peaks Festival, the UK one. Incidentally, bought my ticket for it today, so very much looking forward to that.
It's good.
If you're listening to this and it still hasn't happened yet, maybe consider going. That would be good.
Very good.
Yeah, because you'll see us there as well. We're going to take lots of business cards and throw them at people until they cry.
We're the real guests.
Yeah,
fuck those actors.
But when they announced that they'd got Freddie, and at that point he was just the character from episode 2 that says James or whatever, and I was joking that we're on to the like shit tier guests, and then he had that episode where he had that amazing scene that made me instantly warm to him, and now I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait to see if that's actually how he talks.
Yeah, exactly.
You're a gower. If he just talks like that, then it'll be perfect.
Danny Dyer.
Danny Dyer.
Yeah, you do high-pitched Danny Dyer, I do low-pitched Danny Dyer.
I'll knock you upside your canister. But he threatened a film critic once. He threatened Mark Kermode by saying, "If I ever see him, I'll knock him upside his canister." So obviously Mark Kermode just continued to make fun of him.
Yeah,
because it's funny. It's Danny Dyer.
Yeah, but I have a kind of maybe it's Freddie's playing into the same thing, but I just have a warm, soft spot for Danny Dyer for some reason. I don't watch EastEnders, but when I catch him on the TV occasionally, sort of like glimpses, I'm just like, oh, I don't know, there's something puppy dog about him.
I don't see it.
This is pathological. I need to talk to someone about it. Right, okay, so let's move on to something unhappy. What I've got here is obviously towards the end of episode 15 that sadly, of course, the log lady calls Hawk and gives him a final message before dying. I mean, we don't actually see it happen, but it's safe to assume because of what they say and the way it was kind of like artistically filmed and everything.
Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah, it was very sad.
Yeah, exactly. Like, in a sad way, not like it's terrible. It was just horrible.
Because, and I mean, there are other people who have died, and although they've been, kind of like in memory of in the credits and what have you, the way they treated Log Lady was especially, I think, because, she's very symbolic of the series as a whole. She was originally, the sort of introduction to every episode as well.
Yeah, she was, especially on the, I think it might have been the VHS, but it was definitely on the DVDs. There was an option where each episode would have an introduction by her.
Yeah. I watched all those first time through. We watched all of those, and so she kind of was emblematic of this series, and so it was fitting that they kind of gave her this send off in this way, and not just I forget the actress's name. You probably know it.
Catherine Coulson.
Yeah, that's it, Catherine Coulson. Aside from just paying tribute to her, they also pay tribute to the character itself, because I noticed in the memory of in the credits it wasn't her name, it was the actual character's name, which that kind of it's hard to describe. It's certainly not a snub of the actress.
Oh no.
It's more kind of a testament to like I was saying, just how emblematic she is of the series, and the fact that she's she passed, and yeah. It's just heavy, man.
It really was. It was. I thought it was quite. What's the word I'm looking for? It was nicely done.
Yeah, it was tasteful.
Very respectfully done.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, tasteful. That's the word I'm looking for. It was very, very tastefully done. The way the characters are told, in the sheriff's department, and it's almost like the show kind of stops momentarily as well, just so you can kind of come to terms.
Yeah.
Because we all knew that she obviously died before the show aired, but she'd already, when she was filming her scenes, you knew she was ill. You could tell she was ill, and it looks like they just filmed them all at once. And knowing that she died, and then just had to have her basically look at the camera and say, "I'm dying and I'm scared," was incredibly difficult.
I know.
That was really tough.
There's those huge silent pauses where Hawk, like, it cuts back to Hawk and he doesn't say anything, but it's just, I can't remember who said it, but that silence is kind of like it's pregnant. You can have silence that is literally kind of like heavy with metaphor and feeling and emotion, but it can still be silence. And like that whole scene, there was so much quiet, but it was like things were being like said between the characters without them actually saying them. And when he said "Good night, Margaret" at the end, I was just like, oh. And then he tells the people in the police station, and the first thing Lucy says is "Lock lady," and it's just like, oh man. Yeah. Well, okay. Let's move on to something a bit more funny.
Yay.
Yay. We got our Assassins plot thread wrapped up this week.
That was... Oh, yeah, I was looking forward to discussing this because this was weird. And I know. It's Twin Peaks, how many times have we said that? But just in the term... But the way it was executed wasn't exactly particularly strange. It was more a case of how and why it happened.
Yeah.
That was so
well,
odd.
I mean, in episode 15, we only saw them very briefly. We just literally saw them assassinate Mr. Todd and his assistant. She was halfway out the door and could still hear him breathing, so pop back in to shoot him. Nice. And then episode 16, of course, Chantal and Hutch are staking out Dougie's house, waiting for him to arrive. And I found the whole kind of thing quirky and very kind of darkly funny.
It was. I mean, how their whole plot thread was resolved was just felt a bit head scratching. But the lead up to it was, like you said, really funny because I think it's the FBI turn up first, don't they?
Yeah.
in like two or three cars or something, they all turn up and they're all like squabbling with each other again, which is quite funny. And then they leave.
The first thing I thought is they finally got the right Dougie Jones and he's not home.
But that is because of something that we did overlook and we didn't mention. I don't know if you wanted to get to that later or
if it's related to this.
It explains why they weren't there.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, that's further up the list. Yeah, definitely.
We'll come back to it then. But yeah, I liked it because obviously the FBI turn up and they're not there for reasons we'll get into. Even though it was the episode before, but this show has its timeline all over the place. Who fucking cares? They leave, and then at some point later on, my favourite new characters in this entire series, the Mitchums. Then they arrive with a van full of food to look after the house because the Mitchums are awesome.
Yeah, they're just lovely people. What is it? We'll get into it, but what Coop said, you guys have hearts of gold, and everyone will come to know that.
Yeah, and everyone they all look at each other like, yeah, we aren't too bad actually. And that's because it's the I think it might be Candy that says yeah they do, and then they're like, maybe we are too hard now. So yeah, we're good.
Yeah, they are still hardened criminals who beat the fuck out of someone.
Oh yeah,
because originally Dougie Coop got away with so much money. Yeah. They turned up and they beat that guy like to a pulp. So,
oh, yeah. But the criminals of the heart gold.
It's very easy to forgive.
They also had one of the funnier lines in the whole episode as well, because obviously they arrive and then they stay at the house to look after it. Then the FBI turn up again in they're supposed to be staking out the house as well in an SUV that doesn't stand out at all. And then it gets. I mean, we might. I suppose we're just going to talk about exactly what happens.
Yeah.
And then it gets really weird, but not even like a strange strange supernatural Twin Peaks weird. Just more a case of wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, I just found this kind of like darkly absurd in how what's the word? Just the fact that it's not important. It's not an important character. It's not. Yeah. The kind of the randomness of it, I guess.
I mean,
things happen in real life, that you just can't expect. And
Oh, yeah.
sometimes someone just walks into the middle of a huge... They're not always armed, though.
No, not to that extent either. I mean, because I thought, what I was thinking was, so this is how they're going to wrap up this thing with the assassins. The Mitchums are going to get them because they're looking after the house, and they'll try and do something, and those two, they'll fucking kill them. Yeah, because the Mitchums are awesome. Mitchums did dick.
Yeah, you're expecting a huge gunfight between basically the FBI, the Mitchums, and the killers, and then this dude rocks up.
I think he's like insurance. He's in something, isn't he? Because I can't remember what it was on the side of his car.
Yeah, I can't remember, but it was something mundane.
Yeah,
it was something mundane.
And he gets out and just says, can you move? Can you move, please? You're blocking my driveway. They tell him to fuck off. So he gets in his car.
He goes, I move car.
Yeah. That's it. You're in driveway. I move car. And then... he proceeds to, in an act of pure passive aggressiveness, just drives into their truck and starts to move it. So then, obviously, is it Chantel that shoots at him? He gets out of the car and you think, oh yeah, he's gonna be scared now, and he hides behind his car. And then the motherfucker steps out with an automatic pistol.
Yeah.
And just starts raining bullets on them. They freak out. Obviously, she gets shot in the arm. So you think, I started to drive away as well. Instead of driving away from him, they back up and then drive past him, which probably wasn't the best of decisions, considering they're supposed to be, assassins. He reloads, and then kills both of them.
Yeah.
And that's it. They're gone.
Yeah.
And the whole while the FBI kind of freaking out, the Mitchums...
Yeah, and then the FBI step out.
Oh, yeah. But what I loved, because then obviously the FBI come out and they arrest the guy, whoever the fucking hell he was, because those two are fucking dead as shit. The truck's on fire. The Mitchums are out there with their they've got sidearms as well, and they see the FBI get up and they go, just put the guns away, put the guns away. And I think one of them, Jim Belushi, says, he's like, what the hell's going on? And I can't remember what Robin Nepper says, but he just says looks like everyone in this neighborhood's pretty stressed out,
Yes, people are under a lot of stress.
And they're just like, let's go back inside. Go back inside. It's a good idea. I mean,
the Mitchums are just perfect.
That's brilliant. But really, in any other show, I think people would have massive problems with it because it kind of reeked of. In a lesser show, it would reek of having a plot thread and not knowing what to do with it. Lost.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, got a bad cough. Damon Lindelof. Hack. It'd be a case of having a plot thread and just not knowing what to do with it, so it just resolves itself because someone shoots them. But it could only work in something like this because it's so farcical in places.
Yeah, well, the thing it reminded me of, and I read a critique about this, which kind of, the second I read it, I thought, oh yeah, that's what it reminded me of. It reminded me very much of a kind of Tarantino-esque kind of thing. But then as I was reading this person's post, they were kind of basically making out that Tarantino ripped a lot of his shtick off of Lynch in the first place, from movies like Wild at Heart and stuff.
No.
Okay.
Well, maybe. I don't know, I think Tarantino's influence lies more in grindhouse and exploitation cinema. I mean, Django's just basically like a blaxploitation cowboy film.
Yeah. Well, the point this person made especially was something along the lines of, I can't remember who it was, but apparently either Tarantino or maybe it was Oliver Stone with, was it Natural Born Killers? Basically, someone used actors that that David Lynch used. So apparently, this was kind of like this person was positing this was a dig at Tarantino because he was using actor, the lady in there, of course. What's his name?
Oh, Tim Roth.
Yeah, kind of famous actors who worked with Tarantino. So, I don't know enough to sort of like comment. Okay. On the thing. It was just a thing I read and it kind of struck a chord in me and I thought, yeah, this is kind of Tarantino-esque, whether it's kind of like a bit of a kind of a parody or whether it's, it just got that kind of like absurdly kind of dark comedy vibe. I mean, I think that might just be it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason why whoever that was, this person's written that is because Jennifer Jason Leigh, she was in Hateful Eight as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe I think to say it's a dig is a little.
Yeah,
silly.
this person said it was kind of like it was a deconstruction of Tarantino ripping off David Lynch, and yeah, I've not seen enough of either to comment on whether that is actually true. But if you're saying it's a bit bullshit, then fair enough.
Maybe I mean, David Lynch has been a influence to a lot of filmmakers. I mean, maybe some of it inspired Quentin Tarantino, but I think using the term ripping off like whoever this, it's just a little far fetched.
It is, yeah, because people pick up things and things constantly get built on and kind of changed, and you are the sum of your influences. You just are, and you can maybe make something transformative, but I mean, you're still talking about the same themes or things that other people that you kind of grew up on have done. So it is a very kind of, it's not a clear-cut thing like that.
No, I
to say someone's ripping someone off.
And also, it seems a little out of character for David Lynch to go, and now I'm going to stick it to Quentin.
Yeah, this'll get him.
Yeah.
Apparently for that, was it Tarantino who said something about watching Fire Walk with Me and saying, no, this is enough, I can't be a fan of David Lynch anymore or something? I can't remember if that's a real quote or not.
He said something stupid that was, hilariously ironic because Quentin Tarantino is so far up his own arse.
Yeah.
He probably masturbates over pictures of himself. I got good movies. He's that's a mental image for you kids at home. Now I can't get it out of my head. That's terrifying. With his horribly malformed head. But I just maybe it was, but I think David Lynch doesn't give a toss. He comes across as someone who, if you don't like his film, he'll just go, okay. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I mean, a film, he's made films like Eraserhead that are so far out there and strange. I don't think he cares if someone like Quentin Tarantino didn't like Fire Walk with Me, because no one liked it when it came out.
Yeah. Except maybe, like you were saying, Mark Kermode.
Yeah,
who's gone to bat for it several times.
Yeah, he's said looking back, he thinks it might be his best film, which it could be because it's very good. But I just think David Lynch doesn't strike me as someone who would be like, yeah, now I'm going to stick it to him. Now it's my turn. Fuck you. I can't picture him doing that.
Yeah, here's the quote from Wikipedia. Filmmaker Quentin Tarantino. After I saw Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me at Cannes, David Lynch had disappeared so far up his own ass that I have no desire to see another David Lynch movie until I hear something different. And I loved him. I loved him.
So he hasn't looked at his own filmography then. Because, Kill Bill 2. What a hit!
Yeah.
Wow, what a good movie!
When I think of Kill Bill, I don't remember much from 2. It's all from 1, really.
Yeah, I like a lot of Tarantino films. Pulp Fiction's good. Reservoir Dogs is fantastic. I've really liked Django. I've not
seen Django.
Django's good. I loved The Hateful Eight. I really liked The Hateful Eight. But for someone who made Inglourious Basterds to say that is just incredibly hilarious, because Inglourious Basterds is. It's like, hey, I watched exploitation movies from the 70s. I watched Italian cinema. Love me. It was basically a high budget Italian Nazi exploitation movie.
Oh yeah, I did enjoy Inglourious Basterds.
I liked parts of it.
Yeah,
all the parts with the person I was supposed to hate. The Jew hunter. Like, cool. It's because he's a great actor. I fucking care about him.
And I'm not going to get sidetracked too much, although we are talking about Quentin Tarantino movies on a Twin Peaks podcast. But I've been watching The Strain, and one of my favorite characters in that has just been killed, and he's a Nazi kind of like evil dude. So if you like evil Nazi dudes who are kind of like weird and quirky, and they kind of like talk like that, I can recommend The Strain. Well, I can recommend some of The Strain.
Just parts of it. Just pick and choose pieces. That's what I hear anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, it kind of like it didn't jump the shark because it's always kind of been a bit out there, but there was grounding in reality, and then that very quickly disappeared.
You're like, what's going on? Oh, schlock.
Yeah, it's very schlocky, but and it's Guillermo del Toro, so it's visually very interesting, if nothing else. Although I will, I'm going into detail now, but that character I told you about, Satrakian, who's played by David Bradley, who played Walder Frey.
Oh,
and,
yes.
The caretaker from the Harry Potter films.
Yes.
Yeah, he just killed the Nazi vampire dude who was giving him shit all the way back in the concentration camps in World War II. Yeah, and like literally, the way he killed him was that he let the vampire drink his blood, like as almost in defeat, but he'd taken an awful like a shit ton of blood thinners. And apparently that kills the vampires because it's like rats or something. They can't. It's the same thing they use to poison rats because they can't regurgitate it, right? So, he sucks all this blood out of this Jew guy, like this 90-year-old bearded, sordid Jew guy, and like he's like, "I've defeated you," and then he starts choking, and then he's like, "You have not defeated me. I am not a number." And it's just the reason why I'm going into it, I'm aware I'm still doing it, by the way, is that was the most recent episode of The Strain, and it was badass. And it's like we've been waiting for ages for a badass episode. We finally got one.
That's cool. It's always good. It's always satisfying when a character you really like gets one over their nemesis or like a major villain. Like we had with, and now I'm doing it as well. Game of Thrones this week with Lord Baelish. That was... Because I'm sat there watching it with my grandfather, and the trial, you think, oh, she's really going to go through this? And then she, I can't remember the exact dialogue, but how do you plead, Lord Baelish?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, shit!
I was on the subreddit for the Game of Thrones TV show, and someone had posted that, how do you answer your crimes, Lord Baelish? And then an animated GIF of like this person with their like they're staring at someone and then their eyes just like bulge. And that's like inside, like Peter Baelish is just going shit.
It's like shit. What accent am I?
In 3 different accents.
Now?
Yeah, shit.
I'm Irish now. Oh, now I'm British. I don't know what I am. What am I, Highlander? I'm Scottish, I'm Egyptian.
Well, I can tell he's not American because he's doing an American accent in Quantum... What is it? Fuck, I can't remember.
Quantum Break.
Quantum Break, yes. I played 75% of that game. I'd need to go back to it, I guess. It's like a really bad sci-fi channel TV show.
Yeah, but, I liked the idea of it, but I also don't like the idea of, you finished level, fucking watch an episode. No, I want to play the game.
Well, I don't even mind finish the level, watch an episode. What I do mind is you finished level, now stream an episode. Oh. And if your internet's bad, it won't work. And we'll just skip over it.
I thought it was on the disc.
That's an admission of going, well, it doesn't really matter if you see the TV show, does it?
Yeah, because like, isn't it just like characters that you barely interact with anyway? It's like, look at these side characters.
Yeah, essentially, the TV parts focus a lot more on the side characters who don't really matter.
Sign me up, coach.
If it's like 10 quid, maybe, like, play it. But what really annoys me is just in the future, it will, when online is not working for Xbox One anymore or whatever, it's fucked. No one can play it.
Fucked. I will say one more thing about Game of Thrones. Have you seen that meme that's going around about Lord Baelish when he goes up to the Knight Commander, whoever he is, from the Vale, and he's like, I order you to take me back to the Vale safely. And then it just has some text saying, you cannot, you cannot fast travel when enemies are nearby. And it's him just like looking around like worried, like, oh shit,
nice.
It's really funny.
No, I haven't seen that one. I was expecting you to say speech check failed.
Charisma check failed. You rolled a 1. Anyway, but I've seen it pop up like 3 or 4 times now, and it still makes me chuckle. Anyway, back to Twin Peaks and awesome things.
Yes. So basically, we more or less covered that Assassin's plot thread thing. That's where we started. Moving on. So I've got the Audrey stuff here because I'm in two minds about the Audrey stuff. In episode 15, all we just had was them, Audrey and Charlie, continuing to argue while putting, he was kind of like, I'm taking my coat off. And then she carries on and he's like, I'm taking my coat off. And then he goes and takes his coat off. But episode 16 is where we're kind of moving towards a revelation in regards to this plot. So
Definitely.
In episode 16, they finally do get to the roadhouse. And so I was sitting there thinking, okay, she's not in a coma. And then that groovy guy who is just awesome, the announcer dude at the the roadhouse, who did the incidentally I haven't got it in here, but I'll mention it while I remember it, who did the turning it up to 11 for ZZ Top.
Yeah.
That's the thing that happened.
That was amazing. So, they got? Oh no, they couldn't get ZZ Top.
No.
They got the music, but
Yeah.
it's like, I've got a son and I turn up. That's great. You got it. That's as good as a performance, right? That crowd at the Roadhouse is the easiest to please crowd I think I've ever seen.
Yeah. When they're not on the floor screaming.
Yeah, obviously. One thing I do want to say before we go on the orgy thing, I think it was the song that they had in the Roadhouse in episode 15 was fucking awesome.
Oh yes, I believe it was. I can't remember who it was by, but I believe it's called Axolotl. Like
brilliant.
that little creature. Axolotl.
Yeah, fucking great.
I'm looking forward to that whole CD coming out. I've got that pre-ordered.
There's some cracking tracks on there. That one, because I didn't like the one the week before, or like the one the week before that either was alright.
You didn't like the Lissy one?
No. And then this one, this felt right. This felt like it belonged right with.
It was heavy. It was like dripping with atmosphere, if I remember correctly.
Ah, that was it. The Veils. It was by the Veils.
Yeah.
I was like, this is it. This is exactly the type of music that should be in the show.
Yeah.
Especially at the Roadhouse. Again, like people dancing to that in the Roadhouse. Like, hey, you dancing to that? Go and shoot those scenes better, damn it. They're dancing to nothing.
And we had the Eddie Vedder scene as well this week. Because we cut to Eddie Vedder and I thought, this can't be the end of the episode, and then it wasn't, which thankfully. But I guess we should mention Eddie Vedder. Yeah, they announced him under his real name, which I didn't even know wasn't Eddie Vedder until recently.
Well, I mean, that's fun because that does then lead us into where you were going to before.
Yeah.
So I shall leave you to that.
In a kind of a fourth wall break, Audrey dances to Audrey's dance, which. So she'd walked into the Roadhouse and I thought, okay, not a coma. She starts dancing to Audrey's dance. I thought, okay, she is in a coma.
Yeah, she's
like,
definitely
make
something.
your mind up.
It was really just very very wonderfully dreamlike as well. Just the way everyone moved out of the way very quickly.
Yeah.
As soon as that started, it was like, okay, so something else is going on here because Charlie's looking very 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 worried.
Yeah.
And she still got the moves, and it's great to hear it's great to hear another track from the original series.
It is.
We haven't really heard much. I'm still looking forward to hearing Freshly Squeezed once Coop gets back to Twin Peaks and has some damn fine coffee and some cherry pie, because it's one of my favourite tracks from the original soundtrack. It was good to hear that again, and she's still got the moves. I'm not going to take this away from you. So
well, all that remains to be said is Charlie very rightly has that look on his face because a fight breaks out, and Audrey runs to Charlie to take her home, and then suddenly we get this kind of jump cut to her in front of a mirror in presumably a very white room.
Yeah, really, really weird. Maybe she's in the storage room from Phantasm. Shout out to the people who've seen Phantasm. It's great. Sequels not so much. Phantasm's great.
I haven't seen it.
It's a good movie. Maybe I'll pick it for the podcast at some point because it's so.
That's a good idea.
It's mental, and I love it. It's a 70s horror film, and it's completely batshit insane.
I've seen you posting. I think I've seen you posting clips of it. Is that the one with the flying thing?
Yeah, you got killer silver spheres that drain the blood out your head. You got midgets.
Nice.
You got a scary tall man, interdimensional travel. Maybe it's weird.
This sounds perfect for the podcast.
It's fucking batshit. It's great. And then they made sequels, and they're not so great. But I still love them because they're terrible.
Oh dear.
They're terrible. But I love them. But she's we just see a reflection, don't we? So I mean, I assume maybe she's in an asylum.
Yeah, I think we're sort of led to believe that, aren't we?
Unless she's in the White Lodge. No, but I don't think that's the White Lodge. No, that's not it. Unless they're playing a prank on her, similar to what they did to a character in Lost Boys, where they just turn the lights off, get a mirror, shove it right in the guy's face, and then turn the lights back on. He just screams. It's like, oh my God! Yeah, so she's definitely in trouble. Audrey is in trouble. I think that's the best way we can put it, is Audrey is definitely in trouble. As she always is.
It's interesting because it carries on playing into that theme of characters kind of like, being lost and coming back. It seems that perhaps she's been living in this kind of, I guess, kind of like fantasy inside her head or whatever for a long time. And I wonder how much of it, how much of her life has passed by, much like kind of like been robbed from Coop, sort of how many years. I mean, we'll get onto it as well, but we had it confirmed that Richard is her son.
Yes.
And yeah, we will go into that. So yeah, suffice to say is that she's not in a good place, and we'll hopefully find out what's going on. Presumably when everyone gets into Washington.
Yeah, when everyone joins up again.
Yeah, which does seem, thankfully we're only 2 episodes away, but does thankfully seem to be happening now, or about to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got 3 main plot threads left. I've got the FBI, I've got Mr. C, and I've got Dougie Coop. So we're going to start with the FBI.
Yes.
In episode 16, we had confirmation of a theory that we weren't very happy about when we heard about it. So, Diane... Oh, I've put these in the wrong order because I've put them in order of what I give a shit about, and I've given Mr. C a bit more of a shit. But actually, it kind of relates to the Mr. C scenes.
Yeah, we might as well switch them around.
We'll just start. Yeah, we'll switch with Mr. C. So, episode 15, we got our scene with Philip Jeffries. Not exactly as we'd envisioned it.
He's a giant kettle.
Yes, he's a giant kettle. Cooper's doppelganger, aka Mr. C, arrives at the convenience store. Yeah. So it was good to see all these places for real as opposed to just flashes of them.
Yeah, because they always said that Mike and Bob lived above a convenience store as well.
Yep, and then when he entered, we got the wallpaper and we knew that it was that set of stairs. Mm-hmm. So it was all kind of this iconography we've been seeing little bits and pieces of finally coming together in a, it's like when, I don't know, a character spends the whole like book or movie or whatever talking about a place and then you actually get to that place, like for real. Mm-hmm. It's almost kind of mythical. You can't believe that it's actually happening, and that's how I felt about this scene, because you're seeing things that have only been kind of vaguely hinted at or briefly shown, and you're seeing it in explicit detail.
Oh no, it had my full attention.
Yeah,
that's the best way to put it.
And then he passed through that area and came out in an area which looked awfully a lot like the motel from Fire Walk with Me, the initial motel back in what was the place called, like Sweet Meadows or something
like that. And I've heard people have said that it's the room he goes into is next to, or it's either next to or it is the same room that Bob would use when he was in controlling Leland.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
That's what I've heard people say anyway. They could be wrong, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, no, it doesn't seem that they would, kind of like. It seems like something they would do, basically.
Yeah, it makes sense. Also, the woman he gets the key from, or who unlocks the door for him. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you noticed, but in the end credits for that episode, and it's just a lingering shot of the of that motel area. Yeah. Did you see her just like stood in the darkness, just looking towards the camera?
I don't know.
You can faintly see her.
Really?
It's quite unsettling. Yeah, she's just stood there near where Mr. C talks to her, and she's just stood there. She doesn't move while the credits going on. It's really, really creepy.
I need to go check that out because I guess if I'd seen that, it would stick out in my memory, and I can't recall it. So
It's one of those things your brain goes, no,
Oh, no.
make it stop. No, go away. I don't like it. No.
Anyway, he talks to Jeffries. It says here, whose voice emanates from a metal container. It's a kettle. It's a kettle.
It's a fucking kettle. And we're going to talk about Judy.
Yeah. Jeffries tells him that he has already met Judy and gives him numbers. Presumably, I think, did he say it's her phone number so he can talk to her?
It gives, it's her number. He
Yeah.
says something along those lines. I just have to say one thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
I know that obviously, unfortunately, Bowie passed away before they could film anything or record anything from him.
Yeah.
But I'm not really okay with them dubbing over Bowie from Fire Walk With Me with someone else's voice.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. That felt really kind of tacky and...
Yeah, it seems that I can understand why they've done it, because if they've got to record new dialogue, it makes sense to kind of retrofit the old stuff with the new accents so that people get that it's the same person and everything. But yeah, maybe it was kind of they were forced to do that because they thought that people wouldn't make the connection. I don't know.
Or just distort his voice. Distort his voice so you're like, who is that?
So it sounds more like
Jeffries.
the person. Yeah, so it sounds more like the person.
Yeah, just where like, obviously they if they're going to have Jeffries talk to anyone, you'd have to recast the voice. But it was just the fact that they dubbed his scene from Fire Walk With Me, which they showed again, just didn't sit very well with me. I just didn't really like that. It's like, you don't dub David Bowie. It's David Bowie. You don't fucking do that.
Yeah.
You don't pour shit onto a steak.
I know. No one does that.
Analogy. It's a very strange analogy. I don't know where that came from. First thing that came to my head: shit and steak, both brown. Unless it's hardly cooked. Well, then again, if your shit's the same colour as a barely cooked steak, then you should see a doctor. But anyway,
yes.
Yeah.
Please take all your medical advice from podcasts.
Yeah, take your medical advice from me. Dying. See a doctor.
Talking about dying. Richard is waiting outside and attacks Mr. C, whom he recognises as an FBI agent his mother Audrey knew.
Yeah, I mean, did they have pictures of Coop?
I guess maybe she might have had a picture of him.
She was a bit stalkerish at one point.
Yeah. It's peculiar, isn't it? Because we don't know exactly what her situation was and whether she even has any personal effects and in the place she's in, if she's been in there for a while. So it's the one thing I don't like about the Richard Horne character is that from day one he's been Edgelord Supreme. And we're kind of like led to believe, and a lot of people have theorized, and they think that, incidentally, they now have proof, although we're going to talk about that in a little bit, that he is literally the spawn of evil. And this might be why Audrey is in this place, and it might be, his parentage. I just feel dirty saying it. It's just, yeah. It just feels so heavy-handed and cliche to be the spawn of evil, It's like...
Yeah.
It all of these other characters are nuanced, and that there's kind of like... Even Cooper, who's a very good character, has this dark side, and that's why he has problems when he enters the Black Lodge in Season 2. Yeah. Because he doesn't have perfect courage. Many people don't. So... To have this kind of like idea about people are complicated and nuanced, and then have he's the spawn of Satan.
He is the baddest.
Yeah, he said cunt to his grandmother.
Yeah, and it's also it kind of at times reeked of trying too hard. Don't you really hate him now? Like, I hated him already.
Yeah,
fuck off.
So yeah. Anyway, he tags along with Mr. C after he's subdued. And they drive to a set of coordinates, which is presumably near to Twin Peaks, but not quite. And Mr. C reveals that he's been given 3 sets of coordinates to match. So he asks Richard what you would do, and the smart answer is check the 2 that match. Yeah. Unfortunately, that appears to be some kind of trap that's been laid for Mr. C. And Richard, who very diligently finds the spot on top of a large rock, then proceeds to become what, like a human firework?
Yeah, essentially, yeah, and I hope we are looking forward to something being resolved for him, because fuck you.
Yeah, poof, up in smoke, literally.
Yeah, that actually we were talking about the way they killed off the assassins earlier, and how in a lesser show, that probably would annoy people more. I think that and the death of Richard Horne annoyed me more.
Yeah.
Than the death of the assassins, because the assassins we knew were just goons, and we knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Richard Horne was just, he's a bad man, and you're like, well,
not only that, but we've had several, a
lot of episodes.
Yeah, he's featured quite a bit, and the again, returning to that point about he's the spawn of evil, is just because we've spent quite a bit of time with him, but we've never actually kind of had any kind of intricacy or explanation or background as to why he is the way. The only thing that comes close is Ben in The Great Northern talking about how he didn't have a father, and then being kind of wistful about his own father.
Yeah, exactly. And then,
that's literally it. That's the only kind of development we've had for the character. Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, so he's with Mr. C now. Oh, no, I see. So now they're going to go, he's dead. Oh,
yep.
Thanks for what? And I was just thinking, what did he actually do, in terms of relevance, besides just being a prick?
Even the way he comes across Mr. C seems kind of convoluted. He just turns up in that garage with all those other criminals.
It's like, I thought he was fleeing the area. I thought, why would you just go, I'm going to go with a band of crooks? You'd be like, no, I've got loads of money. I'm going to fuck off up north or something.
Yeah.
To New York or something. I'm going to piss off there. The whole meeting between the two of them felt very TV showish.
Yeah.
Where it's like, oh, look at that, by the coincidence. Like, yeah, that's a huge coincidence. And then they just literally kill him off in a drop of a hat. Really weird.
Yeah. And obviously we have to touch on what Mr. C says, because Mr. C then proceeds to say, goodbye, my son.
Yeah. So, I mean, unfortunately, the more I think about it, the more I think it does just confirm what people suspected.
Yeah.
But even then, that's just it's so hand-wavingly of yeah. And you go, well.
It is, because we were talking, just for the reference, we were talking before the cast started about how goodbye my son could be very much an affectation from a senior person to a younger person, to call them son when they're not actually biologically your son.
Yeah.
But like you say, the fact that we leave Audrey in some kind of white room where she's clearly not all there, and then you have the history of Richard Horne being an edgelord, and it's just the problem is it fits too nicely, and the problem is that people guessed that way back when. It just seems a bit
too obvious, too
obvious,
safe. A bit too safe, we'll go with that, because it's just that. It's very rare that you really figure stuff out in Twin Peaks.
Exactly. There's no mystery involved.
Yeah, really, really weird. And in the end, thinking back to the whole character, just felt kind of he felt it eventually just kind of throwaway.
Yeah, and
he was there.
I think when this series comes to a close, or season rather, I think to me the overwhelming thing is going to be that I enjoyed my time with it. So, I enjoyed my time with it, but the problem is there's an awful lot of time in there that feels kind of pointless. I'm not saying the thing could have been shorter. He could have made twice as much TV and I'd be happy.
Oh yeah.
But the problem is that I think when we return to this series, this season even, and watch it again, we're kind of going to be going, oh, this is the bit in the middle where nothing happens. Oh, this is the bit where we're introduced to a character that goes nowhere. Or this is the bit where we're told that Richard Horne, for the 5th time, is evil, but we're not getting anything else. And I just feel, I don't know.
I mean, Bobby Briggs started off as a complete insufferable prat, who was, he was a massive dickhead. But they actually did something with his character, and his character evolves and progresses and has stuff to do.
Yeah.
Richard Horne was literally just bad guy, who did bad things and then leaves.
Yeah.
That was it. He sold drugs. Was a piece of shit.
Yeah, he swore. He swore he's a bad guy. He smokes in the non-smoking section. He's a bad guy. Oh, he stole his grandma's cutlery. He's a bad guy. Oh, he killed a kid with a car. Like, it's just like,
it's like hit me over the head. Like, I get it. Stop hitting me. I get it. He's a bad dude.
Yeah,
he's a really nasty.
Seems
he's
just a little bit contrived.
Yes, that's the right word.
And yeah, I just as all of this comes together, if it does come together in that way, to me it will just feel a bit, not to ruin the season, but just a little bit of a kind of a thing. Given hindsight, I would have kind of whispered to someone on production, said, "Don't do this." But yeah, and this of course is all observed by Jerry Horne, who has been tripping balls in the forest for a couple of days now. At least a couple of days, given anyone's timeline, let alone the correct timeline, whatever that is.
Definitely been there for over a day, we know that much.
Yeah, and bless him, having a bad time with his binoculars as well. So I'm presuming if anyone even gives a shit in terms of what happened to Richard, Ben, for instance, Jerry is linked to someone who knows what happened, I guess. But I don't even think we'll get that far, because it's kind of like, it's side stuff,
Yeah.
So, and we definitely feel like the past few episodes have been gearing up to the finale. There's definitely a kind of an increase in pace and payoff. So.
Oh, definitely.
I guess it was nice he was there. He had a bad time. He had bad binoculars.
Really bad. Keep putting it all the way around.
So, well, that gets us nicely onto the FBI plot thread then. So, in episode 16, Diane receives a text from Mr. C, which he sends after Richard Horne has been evaporated.
Yes.
And it says, smiley face all. Not sure exactly what that means. Maybe it just means that sorry, what? Okay. My wife's saying I said evaporated, but apparently he was vaporized. Is there a difference? You think of evaporated milk. Okay, yeah, evaporated milk is kind of like the UK version of creamed corn, I guess. It's like
Wait, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Ambrosia.
The only thing I got from his text is that people who use a nose in a smiley face are kind of warped evil people who should be stopped.
You're wrong. You're all wrong, strange people.
But essentially, this text kind of works as a whatever it does, it unseats Diane visibly to the point where she's kind of coming apart, quite literally, as we find out later. She, visibly shaken, goes to talk to the, I guess, what we're calling the Blue Rose Squad.
Yes.
And she sits down, and because obviously they'd shown that there was a gun in her purse. The whole time I'm just thinking, please don't, if you've got to kill someone, kill Tammy.
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
Oh yeah, and I want to say kudos to Albert, first of all, for getting her a drink so that she, felt able to talk, and then the second she draws that gun, oh man,
lightning fast.
My boy Albert, he just puts two in her straight away.
Lightning fast.
Yeah.
2 in the 10 spot.
It was so good. But So there's no escaping it, really. We have to go into it. She tells that the last time she saw Cooper, he pretended to be very normal and interested in her and business at the FBI until he kissed her and she could tell that something was wrong. He then raped her and took her to an old gas station, which would presumably is the convenience store.
Yeah.
So this means that, at least one of those theories, if not two of those theories that we didn't want to believe were true way back when, appear to be the case. I can understand now, in hindsight, why, even though she had seen him before, she was visibly shaken in the scene where she saw him again.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that, as we later discover, she is a tulpa, or a construct. She is manufactured.
So that means that either the original Diane is somewhere else or he killed her.
Yes, I'm presuming, based on the fact that Blue Rose Task Squad recognize her as Diane and know where to find her based on the original Diane, that the original Diane probably died.
Yeah.
And he created a fake Diane so that he would have an inside on the FBI, I guess. So he would have someone to get the coordinates to him, the real coordinates. Because as far as I'm aware, the coordinates that she sent to Mr. C are the third set, the ones that will legitimately lead Mr. C to the police station. In fact, she says something, it was hard to make out. It was either in the sheriff's station or it was I'm in the sheriff's station.
I think it was I'm in.
Yeah.
It was definitely the latter.
But either way, the sheriff's station is where Nido is, and presumably where the coordinates lead to. She also said, "I'm not me," which kind of, sealed the deal.
It's almost like she was fighting against it at times as well.
Yeah. It's strange, isn't it? It basically, although I've got to hand it to her, at least her reaction once she got to the Red Room was fuck you. He said, "You were manufactured." She goes, "I know, fuck you."
And then her face tears apart like paper in another really weird effect.
Yes, it's I don't know. I like the effect, even though it's bizarre and it looks a bit kind of. Some people would say it looks amateurish. It doesn't look, like. It doesn't move properly, but I think that's the point. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. When has the Red Lodge ever made the Black Lodge story ever made sense?
Yeah, and it's we're talking about a director whose most of his life's work has been based on kind of imagery from dreams, so surreal, and often things in dreams, they just kind of move in a way that you haven't really seen before or you don't think about, because it's some weird wonderland where things like that can happen. So, it's revealed that she is a tulpa and that she is now, we're presuming the real Diane is dead. So yeah, I mean, that's where we're at with those FBI dudes at the moment.
Yes.
And yeah, my boy Albert, I'm proud.
And Tammy still moving around, moving her head like a robotic bird person.
Yeah, and then she says something along the lines of, "A real tulpa," and it's like,
it's like, stop ruining it. That was cool. Stop it. Stop it.
But I mean, pushing on, because I know we've been at this a while now.
We're getting to the best bit.
Yes. So we are going to talk Dougie Coop. Episode 15, not much happens, so I'll just cover that. Cooper, reacting to hearing Gordon's name on the TV, sticks a fork into an electrical socket. Which was beautiful, because it sums up everything toddlerish about the way that Dougie Coop has been acting all season.
Yeah, and also, Coop rematerialized through a electrical socket.
Exactly, so it makes sense. And
it makes a weird sense.
I mean, obviously, there was a part of me that was hesitant just in case, but when he put the fork into the socket, I thought, surely that means that if he was going to come back, this is how he would come back.
Yeah,
you know?
it's got
So-
to be now. So I was part of me was thinking he's gonna get close to putting it in, and she's gonna fucking stop him, isn't she? So I'm gonna hate her even more.
And then when he tried to put it in first off and it didn't fit, I was like, I was just laughing. And then I saw him turn it around. I was like, no, Dougie, you can't be left alone with cutlery. But yes, so we open episode 16 with Dougie Cooper essentially in a coma. The Mitchum brothers fussing over him. Bushnell's there too, which is just lovely.
I love the way the Mitchums would brought all the sandwiches and the flowers.
Yeah.
It was so sweet.
I love the Mitchums. If anything from this season deserves a spin-off, it's the Mitchums.
I would be okay with that.
I would be okay with that. So anyway, through a series of events, including that weird whistle coming back that was in the Great Northern. Bushnell gets distracted away, and Cooper finally wakes up. This is the big headline from episode 16, and I'm so glad I didn't get it spoiled.
Oh, so am I.
Yeah.
Finally. I mean, it was at that moment when you heard the weird whistling again, and I was thinking, was that part of Coop just going around everywhere?
Maybe, although we will get into it, I think Cooper has been with Dougie Coop the whole time. And we'll get into that in a minute. But so he sits up, and Mike chimes in just to voice the audience's thank fucking God.
Yes.
Finally, he says, you're awake. 100%.
100%. You're like, yes!
I know. And what's beautiful about it is this season, it's taken such a long time that honestly, there was part of me that was thinking, are we ever going to get Coop back? And there was another part of me that was thinking, if Coop comes back, how does that even happen? Because what we've been seeing is Dougie Coop slowly learning things and becoming maybe a bit more advanced, but never to the point, obviously, where he was, fully back. But when he started off, he couldn't do anything, and maybe by the end, he knew to eat, he knew to drink coffee, etc. So I was thinking, how is our Coop, who is like 100% on it, how is he going to come back slowly? And the answer is, of course, you don't do that. You just make sure he's back like instantly, like exactly how he should be. And oh man, yeah, just the smile on my face was amazing.
Well, it's handled wonderfully because obviously he immediately starts to act like Coop, but a Coop that's a bit more, is knowledgeable and he knows what's going on, which is good because we haven't got time now for people to tell him what he has to fucking do. Yeah. And then what's perfect? So he sits up and it's like you said, he was obviously in the body that he was there the whole time. Yeah. Because he recognises Jenny and the child.
Not only that, but he knows that Bushnell keeps a gun in his pocket, so he was observant. He was taking notes the whole time. Just he was kind of trapped inside.
He was almost like a passenger in his own body, wasn't he? And so we have the whole brilliant scene. He sends the children away.
Oh, but before that, I just want to say, I think it's a testament to Cooper's character that the first thing he thinks of doing is providing a tulpa of himself when he's gone for Janie and Sonny Jim. I thought that was really nice. The fact that he immediately pulls out some hair and he says, "Have you got the seed?" So, I believe that's his plan at the end of it, is to have a kind of a version of him walk back through, as he says, walk back through the red door. Yes, at Lancelot Court.
Absolutely, yeah. And yeah, that's systematic to his character because Coop's just such a good guy. Yeah. But he gets the gun from him, and he gives him the note. He writes a note to give to Gordon Cole when he arrives. And then he has the great line of, "I am the FBI." As he leaves. And then the Twin Peaks theme.
I know, just turns it up.
And brilliant. I was just like, we've been waiting for this for like 16 episodes.
Yep. And I love how he says to the Mitchums, we're going to fly a plane to Washington. And they're just, yep, okay, yep, Spokane, Washington, cool.
Yes. So whatever you say, Dougie. plane's ready to go. We're going to do it now.
Yep, gassing it up now.
And then there's obviously they get to the casino and it's all very feel good because Coop's here. Yes, Coop's here. And then he says goodbye to Janie and I can't remember the kid's name. What is the kid's name? Sonny Jim. And I guess we're supposed to feel bad for them, but I kind of didn't.
Yeah.
I did to an extent, but most of the time, every scene with them, I was more worried about when we're going to get Coop back.
Yeah.
It would have been funny if, when he's like goodbye, he says goodbye to her, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, I didn't consent."
I knew you were going to say that.
It's like, you might. Don't worry, I'll keep this hush from the authorities because you kind of raped me.
I know, and I'd be happy for you if that happened because it would be kind of vindication. But at the same time, there was a twinkle in his eye that said he was totally okay with it.
Oh, but it would have been funny. It would have been funny. It's like, she's like, "Thank you, whoever you are," and he goes, "You're a rapist, Janie."
That moment
and just turns around and walks off.
That moment where she goes, "Whoever you are, thank you," and hugs him, and she's crying. It's just like the first thing in my head I was thinking is like, she's gonna miss that dick.
She's gonna miss that body. Yeah, she's a materialistic fuck.
She is. I mean, I know that her relationship with her husband wasn't great, but then, he comes back, except, he's fitter, he's thinner, he doesn't say an awful lot.
Nope. And she's like, that's fine.
He brings lots of money.
Yeah, new car, a gym, jungle gym, for Sonny Jim.
Yeah.
And, but she's like, that's cool. But, so he says goodbye to them. And then it
was almost like an episode of Quantum Leap.
Almost, yeah. It was the leap home. And he's in the limo with the Mitchums, and they look kind of more upset than Jenny and Sonny Jim because they're just kind of like, but you're FBI and we're not exactly good people. We're naughty bad guys. And he's like, you guys have got a heart to go.
Yeah, it's just everybody he meets, he puts a smile on their face.
And they look so reassured and happy. And I'm just thinking, I hope they go to Twin Peaks with him.
I'm glad they're going to Twin Peaks. I just really hope nothing nasty happens to them while they're there.
They're the best. They're like the best new characters in the whole show. They're brilliant. I love them. They're so good. But and that's so it ended with the stuff of Audrey. But that was that's definitely deserves to be right at the episode. Top of the plot for us, because now we know he's going there, and the FBI are going to know he's going there. So everything is converging because we know Coop is right outside Twin Peaks. Mr. C is right outside Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
Because Jerry was on foot, so we know he couldn't have gotten that far. So we know that's a road leading into it. So everything is now starting to converge into this one place, which I thought it would do, but at one point during the series I was worried it wasn't. So we've got everything's coming together, and hopefully, hopefully it's not satisfying because it's Lynch, so it's going to be a bit mad. But as long as it's entertaining and because I don't expect them to explain everything or resolve everything, but as long as it's satisfying, then that's fine. But I'll be eagerly awaiting next week, and on Monday I'm not even going to fucking glance at the internet.
Yep, no, me neither.
I want to know. If anyone thinks it's funny to come up and spoil it to me, I might just slap him upside down.
Upside his canister.
Upside his canister. I'll challenge into an arm wrestling contest and punch their face in. Sorry.
I think it's going to happen.
Darkness.
I think you're right. But
so funny.
I can't remember who said the title for episode 15, but the title for episode 16 was No Knock, No Doorbell, and it was said by Diane. And I don't think either of us guessed Diane. So
no, and again, it was her. It's her again. God damn it.
Yeah. So all that's left to do is kind of we may as well, for the last two, throw a kind of like a punt at who we think there might be. So part 17, the past dictates the future. Now that could be literally anybody.
That could be absolutely. Okay, let's see. Hawk.
Okay. Yeah.
So are we doing three?
Yeah,
three
why not?
guesses
Why
then?
not cast a
So-
really wide net so we can then, say, "Oh, we were right."
Yeah, Hawk, the fireman, because he's known as the
Yeah,
fireman now, isn't he?
yeah.
The fireman, or Mr. C.
Okay, interesting.
go
I'm
with
gonna go with again cast a wide net so that if one of
We've
us
got
is
one
right,
right
we can just kind of claim.
Say we're right all along.
I can't remember. I think we've tried to guess maybe 6 or 7 episodes now, and I came sort of close, but not quite once. And that's because David Lynch repeated something that Monica Bellucci said. So I'm going to guess Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Going to guess. I'm going to throw in Sarah Palmer again, just in case.
Oh, yes. Oh, shit, I didn't think of that.
And Hawk's a good shout, actually.
Something I could picture him saying.
Yeah.
I could hear him saying it.
I'm just going to say Mike, the one-armed man.
Oh, that's a good shout as well. It's just...
Because it seems like a kind of a lodge spirit-y thing to say, but I guess, we've got this wrong many times. Part 18 is, what is your name? So we should go for bonus points as well. Who do you think is saying this, and who do you think they're asking?
I think because everyone's going to say, oh, they're saying it to Coop. No.
Yeah, okay.
They will be saying it to Audrey Horne.
Ooh, okay.
I think they'll be saying it to Audrey Horne because Coop's already awake. He already knows who he is now.
Yeah, exactly.
Unless it's, I don't know, maybe it's Mr. C. But I think maybe I could be wrong. They're saying it to Audrey. And it'll be, and I'm going to pick one. It will be Coop to Audrey.
Okay.
Throw that out there.
Okay.
I'm probably completely wrong. It's going to be a lodge spirit sending it to Mr. C or something.
Well, with that, obviously it's not a spoiler because it's just what I'm thinking in my head. But for some reason, this whole season has been about the duality of Mr. C and Coop. So I'm thinking that perhaps in some way, somehow, the ending is going to evolve. If not one killing the other, then consolidation of the two into one.
Yeah.
So to that end, I think it's going to be asked of Cooper. And I think the person asking is probably going to be lodge spirity, so I'm going to guess the fireman.
Yeah, that's a fair shout.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be guessing stuff like this, Lynch and Frost, if you hadn't made Richard such a predictable edgelord that I thought I could call the ending of episode 18.
Well, you would do this.
Yes, but we shall see. So
Hopefully.
it's
Hopefully
exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's also sad because we know it's coming. It's one more week.
I know. Game of Thrones is done. This will be done.
Yeah. Oh Christ!
I'll
yes,
be
Game
left
of
with
Thrones
Fear
is
the
done.
Walking Dead. Oh.
Although Walking Dead starts up soon, isn't it? I'm sure
it'll
Is it
be
in October?
after Fear the Walking Dead. So yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for the spin-off with sort of action. Oh wait, no, that's the main series. Oh shit! You've seen the trailer, haven't you?
I think so.
Just lots of shooty guns and
Yes,
explosions.
yeah, lots of it's all out war basically, which is
Yeah, I'm
okay.
Yeah, I'm just like, Mr. Zombies. It does have some good Negan moments where he's asking a character if they've got their shit your pants trousers on. If you got your shit your pants, no, what is it? He says, shit yourself pants on. Something
I
like
need
that.
to get the Blu-ray at some point because I'd be interested to watch all those scenes with the cursing in.
Yeah, they filmed two versions, didn't they? Where I've seen
Quite a few
the one where
times,
he's,
yeah.
I've seen the one where obviously where the season opener where he's obviously like telling. who
Oh,
he
okay,
is
I
and
haven't
then
even
he
seen that.
I've seen it, and he swears so much.
Nice.
He says, when he says, "You have no idea how much shit you're in," or something, doesn't he? He goes, "You have no fucking idea how fucking fucked you are."
Oh, nice.
It's like that. It's I'm
Cool.
paraphrasing, but it's like that. He just keeps swearing.
That's awesome.
It's brilliant.
Yeah, because I mean, they couldn't really get away with just blanking those F words.
Oh, no.
Recently, I've
lose
noticed
a lot.
quite a few series that we've been watching. The Mist, for instance, would just kind of like cut the word out, so there would just be silence, so you'd see someone mouth it. So obviously, when the Blu-ray of that comes out or whatever, it will probably have all the fucks in it.
Yeah, I hate that. Just don't. Just cut it out completely. Don't even.
Well,
it's just.
Yeah,
it
or
takes you out
just
so
show
much.
it. It's weird, stupid broadcast rules. Half of the time, it isn't even broadcast rules. It's just the fact they don't want to upset people who might be advertising with them.
Yeah, it's like,
To which I
God,
say, like, grow a pair. It's a horror show.
Yeah, like, what? You mean there's swearing in a supernatural horror series about monsters in a supernatural otherworldly mist?
Yeah.
I shall not stand for this.
Why isn't there a blank spot where the blood is?
Yeah, that's a real. I mean, censorship is just insane. Anyway, what is it over here? I'm pretty sure it's over here where you can swear all you want, but as soon as you show any tit,
Ooh.
boom, up goes to an 18.
Yeah.
I remember because I remember seeing it's nudity and sex scenes that like usually bumps up to an 18 as well. It's something stupid and idiotic like that. Because I remember watching when I this is going years and years back when I saw Shaun of the Dead at the cinema.
Yeah.
And that was only a 15.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so violent.
Yeah.
And
a guy gets literally ripped to pieces.
Ripped to pieces. People getting their innards ripped out. They swear, and there's because there's a bit right at the beginning where I remember I will never forget this, where I'm sat in the cinema, it's packed cinema, and you know it's right at the beginning of the movie. They're all talking, and you know, excuse my language, but Ed walks up and says, "Can I buy any of you cunts a drink?"
Yes, I remember that bit.
And there was this moment where the entire cinema shut up, it went deadly quiet, as everyone sat there for about 2 seconds, like about maybe a second, half a second to 2 seconds, as we just sat there going, did you say cunt? He just said, this is a 50? And then everyone just burst burst out laughing, because it's a 15, and he just, how did he, what? And that's why, you know, credit to like HBO. They're just like, Game of Thrones is the most successful show ever. Swear all you want.
Yeah, that's the sad thing, is I think it has to be like an unparalleled success.
Yeah.
So that the advertisers feel so confident that it won't besmirch their products or whatever.
Yeah, it's mental. Like,
it's just such a weird hang-up to have.
You can't have swearing in a show about rape.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like something like that, isn't it? You can't have swearing in a show where people are getting their eyes pulled out by spider monsters.
Yep.
No. I will not advertise my Coca-Cola product. I don't want to be associated with swear words, thank you very much. Extreme violence and explosions and gore, that's fine. Swearing, you won't hear that in church.
I tell you what, as well, like speaking of Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz. In this, for anyone who doesn't know, in the UK, there's a TV channel called ITV2 that basically bought the rights, I guess, to like the Cornetto trilogy. Although I don't see them play The World's End much, but I think they've got the rights to play it in the UK on TV. So basically, it's kind of like a running joke that they play Hot Fuzz literally nearly every week. And they have
that with sorry, they did that with Total Recall and Terminator 2 a few years ago. Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago. They just Total Recall and Terminator 2, not Terminator 1. But Terminator 2 and Total Recall was on all the fucking time.
No, get your money's worth, I guess.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, sorry for going.
Well, I was going to say that they have edits of Shaun of the Dead, and I think their edit of Shaun of the Dead, obviously they don't cut that scene out. So what they do is they just kind of like blank it out like The Mist does, you know, TV shows, etc. But the Hot Fuzz cut that they have is like a good 20 minutes shorter than the actual movie.
Bloody hell.
So, because they cut out all of the bad swearing scenes, they cut out quite a few of the grislier bits. And so I was watching, we were watching it on Blu-ray, I think with my mother-in-law at the time, and we decided to sit down and watch it because we wanted to. It had been a while. And I was like sat there going, I don't remember this bit because I'd caught it on ITV2 so many times that had kind of like entered my head as the de facto version. And then I saw this version. I was like, shit, yeah, they do say the C word a lot.
It's a good movie. It's going to be, that was Buffalo's. I always annoys me and baffles me whenever they show a film on, they buy the rights and then they censor it. And it's always worse when they buy the rights to something and then it's on after 9 o'clock and they still censor it. I remember, this must be about 8-10 years ago now. I've got it on DVD, and the first movie and the sequel, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Oh, yeah. I
remember seeing that in the cinema as a kid. It was PG, and I absolutely loved it. And I've watched it back a couple of times recently, like the past couple of years, and it's still good, still funny.
Mm-hmm.
And the first one's good as well. So it's about 8-10 years ago, and it was on. It was it might be an ITV or Channel 4.
Yeah.
And it was on at 11 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, cool, that's on. If I'm awake, I might catch it. Maybe edited for violence and swearing.
Really? Like 11? Wow.
And like, it's on. No, sorry, it was on at midnight. Even it's on at midnight.
It just seems bizarre.
So why would you bother to go to that extent? Are you worried that someone might be up at that time of night and be offended by the word fag? I don't know.
It's weird, but I mean that seems to have changed, because when I was a kid, I taped a couple of films. I managed to work out how to program our tape recorder, because my mum said I couldn't watch these films, and I wasn't allowed to stay up even to try. So what I did was I consulted the manual. I worked out how to program our tape recorder to record at certain times, and I managed to tape a couple of movies like Aliens and what have you. But one of them was Terminator 2. So it's got that scene where is it the T2000?
T1000.
Is it, what's his name? I forget his
name. Robert Patrick.
Yeah, that's it, Robert Patrick. It's good that I'm asking you, because you saw it this week, right? So it's all like fresh in your mind. Hello?
Sorry?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I said you saw it this week.
Yes, I did. I saw it 2 days ago.
You're a good person to ask at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. Yeah.
But they have a scene where he kills, I guess, is it John Connor's like foster family?
Yes.
Yeah, and he kills the dog, right? So I'd never seen this before.
Of course, yeah, the extended version, yeah.
Yeah, so so I taped it off TV, and I got the extended version, and then later on when I bought it on actual VHS when I was kind of allowed to, I didn't have that scene on it, and I was like, did that scene even exist? Like, I remember it, but it's not on the video.
Yeah, it's weird. That's one of the few where the director's cut versions or the extended cut versions of the film's actually better, because there's moments in Terminator 2 in the extended version that I think are better left in.
Yeah. For
example, when he's trying to find out more about him, he's going around John Connor's bedroom just like feeling everything, because he learns through touching things.
Yeah.
Which is how he understands how to use things. It's like at the beginning when he kills the police officer, and it's without that scene being in the movie, you just completely this always skipped my mind anyway. When he puts his hand on top of the computer first, he's looking at it because he's learning how to use it.
Yeah.
Also, at the end of the movie, when he breaks apart the liquid nitrogen and reforms again in the factory, there's only one moment they show in the theatrical one, but he's walking upstairs and it's almost like his image is refreshing. Remember, like the lines come to his face. It's like he's refreshing his image constantly. It's because something's going wrong with him, and he keeps he's losing control over his ability. Because at one point he moves around. There's like a guard around. He puts his hand on it. His hand gets stuck to it. Mm-hmm. Starts copying the handrail with, and he just really yank it off.
Yeah.
And also that plays into the end where John Connor realizes which one's the copy of Sarah and which one's the real one, because there's the T1000 one that finds him first, then the real Sarah appears behind him with a shotgun.
Yeah.
We know that's her because she's got the shotgun. John doesn't fucking know that. And in the extended version, he looks down and sees that the T1000, its feet are kind of melding into the grating.
Oh, okay.
And it's fusing with and copying the floor. And that's how he knows it's the fake one that jumps out of the way. So I prefer the extended version just because the stuff that they cut out actually adds to it. It's weird. It's really weird. Most times I'm not a massive fan of director's cuts because they can spoil things. Like in Aliens, the Aliens director's cut's good. Mm-hmm. Because you have the moment with the sentry guns, which then explain and establish why the aliens go through the xenomorphs go through the air, the top of the like the air vents instead, like the roof.
Yeah.
But it also like kind of forcibly foreshadows the Queen.
Yeah, and it has that scene as well where the family initially discover the alien, which I don't think is necessary.
No, it's
better to go into it blind, like, oh, this is the situation. The colonists have stopped reporting, and then you touch down, and then like, oh shit, everything's gone south, rather than seeing it earlier. If you know what I mean.
Oh, so we know something's definitely wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it does have Captain Hollister from Red Dwarf in it.
Oh,
so
okay.
There's that. He's basically playing the same fucking character. He's playing Captain Hollister. So, but yeah, that was a weird tangent.
Yeah. Well,
that's what happens when I talk about
we
films.
are excited.
Like,
We are excited about Twin Peaks. So, join us here this time next week for the finale, where hopefully all of your questions and more will be answered. But one thing we can confirm: Richard Horne is evil. Okay.
He's a bad dude. I don't know if you guys realize, but he's a bad egg.
There's basically a very, very, very subtle undercurrent of plot going on with Richard about him being evil.
What a throwaway character. He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Why?
And now he's gone.
He's so bad.
Vaporized. I'm winking at my wife.
If I hear a large thwacking sound, I'll know what it is.
Ah. Okay. Just for clarification, so everybody gets it, my wife says she thinks the difference is that evaporating is something that happens to a liquid, while vaporizing is something that happens to a solid. But humans are 70% water.
So there's partial evaporation?
So we're both right. We're all scrubs.
We're all right. Everyone's right. Everyone gets a trophy.
Yeah. So until next week, try not to be vaporized and enjoy Twin Peaks, and we'll talk about it next week.
Yes.
This has been going way too long. Yeah, it's an hour 30. Let's kill it.
Yeah.
Richard Horne on a rock.
Oh, what a character.
See you later, guys.
If you like Spoilers of the Damned, don't forget to subscribe and rate us on iTunes.
Team Wolfcat production.